You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And we managed to throw together a profit over Wildcard weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Started off good.
Yeah. We hit the Saturday games. We had KC -3 at Houston, and we had Cincy +2.5 playing at home. We'll get more to the Cincy-Pittsburgh game pretty quick.
But it was one of the few times we took the points under 3.
Yes.
All year with our underdog picks. So I have to give ourselves a little pat on the back for that.
I think so. We didn't even discuss it much. I think it was sort of born of us talking about how what we used to think as gamblers about numbers has kind of been changed by the extra points.
Yeah.
And 2.5 now is something worth having.
But how many guys bet the money line on that game and got screwed?
All the times we took the money line at under 3, I can only recall one case when we lost, and that was Detroit ended up, I believe, losing by 2.
Yeah.
And we could have had them at 2.5. But, hey, evolve, get better. That's our goal.
And go 2-0 on Saturday?
And then we made a terrible decision on Green Bay, Washington. But we'll touch on that as well.
Yeah, that was... Well, it didn't look bad for about 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get into that.
Okay. So, to recap the games, we had KC -3 at a bad price. We took a public favorite. That worked out for us, though Brian Hoyer was a big part of that.
Which was part of the reason we took Kansas City.
Yeah, but no one expected him to be quite that putrid. The third
Kansas City's
quarterback performance in the history of NFL playoffs.
Yeah, but you were worried about Kansas City. And I wanted to bet them all along just on their defense. And I know they hadn't covered a lot in the last month, but they were getting big spreads too. Maybe more than they should have.
Yeah.
Because of their winning streak and everything but if we were smart, we would have looked at the Redskins like the Texans.
I said that to you on Sunday when we were on the phone.
It was just the NFC East and the AFC South were basically the equivalent of each other. And we were all over the Chiefs, and my problem was I was just looking at what Green Bay had done the last half of the season offensively.
Yeah, we didn't do our best job of comparing opponents during those spans.
No.
Though we did in KC somehow, I think because Green Bay has murdered me a bunch, I was so willing to downgrade them, and I'm still not that impressed.
No.
Weirdly enough, in this game, KC Houston was close for the longest time.
Well, it wasn't close. The score was close. The game was... Did you ever once think Houston was getting back in that game?
If they'd gotten the touchdown after that ridiculous series of play calls, like Blue ran that ball 49 yards, they got down inside the 5, and they tried that fiasco J.J. Watt Wildcat. Like, that was just a joke.
With the blown out groin.
Yeah, which supposedly has been a lingering problem for weeks. So, yeah, he's your superstar. Let's have him run the ball into the middle of the line with a bad groin.
And in that situation, does anybody on Kansas City think he's going to throw the ball? If you're going to run that, he has to throw the ball.
Yeah.
for any element of surprise, he has to throw the ball. Otherwise, he's run. Like, Kansas City wasn't playing the pass there.
Not at all. They collapsed inside with pretty much everybody. And that was followed up by, I think, the most crippling of the Hoyer interceptions, a pass a Pop Warner player shouldn't throw. Short of the goal line, into a sea of bodies.
Right in the middle, though. Right in the middle. He threw it straight ahead.
Yeah.
But
you know how much I hate the corner fade, but that's a better play call there. You've got DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I don't even like the play call that he should be looking at the middle of the field there.
Well, yeah, but that was just because he got heat. He panicked. He was going to get hit, and they'd have been better off if he takes a sack and you kick a field goal. At least you have a little momentum. Okay, we got on the board, we moved the ball a little bit. But that pick deflated the whole team.
Yeah, if they get the touchdown there, I believe it becomes
13-7. Yeah.
And that's where I think the game changes, to become nervous. As soon as they threw the pick, yeah, I pretty much felt we were golden.
Yeah. Because there was no miracle coming from Houston. Well, I said it to you, we were watching it or talking on the phone, and Nate Washington dropped that pass. And he alligator-armed they were down 20-0. He alligator-arms a 3-yard screen pass or crossing route or whatever. He ran a little quick out. And the corner was right on him, and he kind of stuck his arms out, got his hands on it, and just bounced. He didn't want to get hit.
Yeah. And I think that was second down, and that would have been about a 4 or 5 yard pickup, and that's fine for a football team, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I said to you on the phone then, too, Nate Washington is a guy who I've always thought played hard and professionally and has made a career out of very marginal talent. I was a little shocked to see it from him, of all players.
But here's the thing in the NFL, that if it's like at 20-0, they were basically getting their ass handed to them on both sides of the ball. When you're late in the third quarter and you don't think you have a chance to win, I think they all get selfish.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm
Nate
not getting
Washington,
hurt.
I mean, he was in Tennessee and performed well for a lot of years there. And I don't think he's a hugely talented player. It was always work hard, do what he has to. That's I think what I found surprising.
Yeah, he's an average.
About that.
He's an average 2, a good 3.
Yeah,
for
I'll
a while.
accept that.
But I'm sure you'll be glad you said that.
Yeah.
No, they just did their body language, their everything. The one long pass they completed was only because fucking DeAndre Hopkins shoved him fucking 3 yards out of the way. That got called back. And that was in the fourth quarter, I believe. But
yeah, when it was irrelevant.
That the opening kickoff, I just went, okay. That takes all the pressure off in that game of worrying about anything. I wasn't even though it was only 13-0 at the half, I wasn't worried in the least.
Well, Houston at points moved the ball well. The one turnover I don't really blame on Hoyer was when Clark got absolutely blocked right into him. That was a travesty of offensive line play. And you're not expecting that, right? Because out of the corner of your eye, your left tackle's there. You're expecting something. You don't expect to have him coming back at you like a cannonball. And that was a fumble. And that was, Houston had moved it pretty well. To that point, they were in long field goal range at that stage. And then that turnover snuffed out one. I mean, yeah, this was an ass-whipping. I don't know that it was quite the ass-whipping the score shows.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think it was anyway. Hoyer under pressure was just chucking and ducking after a while.
Oh, he got happy feet. And as you said, on that pick on the 2 there, it wasn't, I think it was Poe, if I'm not mistaken, the guy giving pressure. He had plenty of time to look, either throw it away. He had time to do a multitude of things. Poe, if it was Poe, was at least 3 steps away.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't even be frightened at that stage. If you have to, just throw it through the fucking uprights.
Yeah. Which is what I'll still never understand. There's intentional grounding on everything. You can't throw it out of bounds in the pocket, except when you're at the 10. You can throw it 6 rows deep in the stands, and it's not intentional grounding. That's what I'll never get that. How that's not a penalty.
But again, it was an option for him. Anyway, not much more to say about it. We bet 10, 118. That was a good case of ignoring the price and just taking what we thought.
Yeah.
We're going to skip Pittsburgh since you come back to it at the end.
Yeah, it's going to take a while, I think. Well, we might as well do Green Bay, Washington now.
Yeah. So this was a big mistake on our point. You touched on it.
But through the opening drive of the third quarter for Washington, they had the lead. After the opening drive of the third quarter, they had the lead. They were up 11-0, 2 in that game. So it ended up being looking horrible for us. But I give Green Bay credit for one thing. They ran the ball hardly at all in the first half and then won the game because they ran the ball in the second.
They ran it.
Most teams won't do that. Yeah, but most teams won't do that.
Stick with it. Yeah, okay.
Yes, change it that much at the half, especially when you have Aaron Rodgers. Most teams, and especially the way the Green Bay running game had been all year, so inconsistent. But it was like they flipped halves. In the first half, it was like 75% pass, 25% run. And in the second half, 25% pass, 75% run. Yeah. So I give them credit for making adjustments.
Well, and just continuing to
and I don't know if the Redskins ran out of gas.
The Redskins seem to be stopping everybody for a 1 and 2 yard gain. Like even though they had a terrible run defense, which we were aware of, they seem to have that part under control. And Green Bay has struggled with the run game all year, with one fucking exception, that Minnesota game.
And we talked about it in our pick show last week. To that fact,
yeah.
So I don't think our logic was horribly flawed. The point I heard in Simmons' podcast from Cousin Sal that Cousins hadn't beat a team above 500 in his career, that may have changed my mind on this game had I heard it prior to it.
And it could have been worse. Cousins, I mean, I was always a naysayer, and for whatever reason, I finally get sucked in, and then that's when they teach me that my original opinion was correct. I mean, there was a play Cousins threw that the tight end reached out and snagged a ball that wasn't even being thrown to him. It was, I believe, to Garcon. And he reached out and snagged it, and the Packers player was sitting on a pick six, if he catches it, which is always 50-50 with DBs. But Cousins threw just a brutal pass, was saved by his tight end, and that's when I thought we were in trouble. Because Cousins had happy feet. He didn't seem to be seeing the field. His accuracy was brutal.
And, well, I think it came down to the offensive line. In the second half, the Packers were all over him.
Well, the Packers have a really good pass rush.
Well, that's the best I've seen it all year. And I think that had more to do with fucking Washington's O-line than...
They were 5th in total sacks.
Yeah, but what games did that happen in? Because the games I watched them play, they got no fucking pressure.
I know, but the numbers fairly, it's not an advanced metric. It's how many sacks do you get, and somehow that's where they were. And the O-line, which looked like it was just going to be manhandled all day, particularly on the safety, all of a sudden, after the first quarter, no pressure really on Rodgers.
No. Well, I was watching, I didn't see the first half. I watched the second half of this game. Like I told you on Sunday, checked my phone. 11-7. Good. Looking good. Fucking turn the game on to watch the second half, see the end of the first half, and it's fucking 17-7 or 17-11. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, the 5-0 drove me nuts because that was a lazy run to the corner.
Oh, yeah, with Sean Jackson.
Yeah. All you have to do is stick the ball out. Like, some people have said dive. He didn't even have to dive. He just didn't have to have the ball
on their outside arm.
Yeah, on the outside arm and waving it around like a flag. Like, it wasn't close to his body. It was lazy. It reminded me of that Cam Newton touchdown where he got his bell rung.
Yeah, Yates to Orleans.
Yeah. And so there you could have gone up 9-0. And that was the drive right after the safety. And you're looking dominant, but suddenly you're settling for a field goal because you try 3 boring runs, and we've talked about this since we've done the podcast, that these days you can't just run the ball into the middle of the pile anymore. No one has Dallas's offensive line from the mid-90s. Nobody's got that, especially Washington.
Yeah, it's not the Hogs in Washington anymore.
True, yeah. Riggins isn't about to come out of the booth, the radio booth, and punch that in for you. And emotionally, I think that was huge for Green Bay. I mean, I'm still a believer in momentum. I know that a lot of people say it doesn't exist. But when you're thinking you should be up 9-0 and kicking off.
Well, if you don't believe in that, just go look at the Green Bay-Seattle game from last NFC Championship.
Yeah.
When Green Bay could have fucking buried them and didn't. That's what happens.
Yeah.
You end up getting fucked.
You give a little pulse, especially in these win-or-go-home games. A little pulse, something to hang your motivation on, I think does matter.
Yeah.
So we lost that. It was unfortunate. I honestly thought we had the right side, and I feel foolish.
Well, and we did have the right side for almost 2.5 quarters. And then Washington did absolutely nothing the last quarter and a half. So.
And again, Cousins' happy feet were terrible, and.
Well, I think the whole team panicked. Once Green Bay got the lead back, made it 24-18, I think they panicked.
Well, one of my favorite athletes, Julius Peppers, did really show up again. Just sucking up guys. I think he got a sack, but
it's the fastest
he's not done yet. He's one of the best athletes I've seen over the last 15 years, you know?
Well, and Clay Matthews looked faster than I'd seen him all year.
Yeah. Well, they seem to be running him from the outside slot again about half the time.
Well, the one sack I remember, they did a stunt, and he started off in the middle and looped all the way around the outside and still got to him.
Okay.
He basically started at middle linebacker, and when the ball was snapped, he just ran full speed to the outside, cut the corner, and fucking got to the quarterback. It was an impressive sack.
Yeah. No, and I'm not a huge fan of his. I think he's an excellent middle linebacker, but as an outside linebacker, he was overrated on hair.
Well, yeah, he was good looking and white.
Yeah.
What else does the NFL want?
They really want that. I can't believe that, there aren't those chants of clay whenever he makes a play, no matter what stadium he's in. You notice you never hear that for a black player. Right? Like Kuhn or Kuechly.
Well, yeah, but that's because the white guys they normally do that for are fucking journeymen. It's more of an ironic thing, I think. It's like, oh, we admire his pluckiness.
No, I think it's just overt racism. But...
No, you can't. But okay, if you want to get into it, it's kind of hard to yell Deshaun or something like
Too
that.
many syllables? But again, why doesn't Clay get the thing? Because he's white, good looking, and he's got a one-syllable name that would be easy to cheer.
Yeah, but it's never the Stars. Dude, I'm telling you, it's never the Stars.
Kuechly. It is a star.
Who?
Kuechly.
Ah, yeah.
Luke. You hear it everywhere.
But it only lends itself to certain names. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
On that, but I'm just saying Clay
really...
Matthews should be one of those names that it lends it to.
Know. But you can't yell Quentin doesn't really work well when you're trying to yell it. It's like Bruce or a Coon or something. DeQuan and Deshaun and all those names really work.
He doesn't get that white man love. All right. Next game up. I did miss the first half of this. Seattle at Minnesota. Wow.
Well, we didn't miss. I missed about a quarter and a half. I was up too late playing Fallout Saturday night and slept through the first quarter, but we didn't miss much. I think it was 3-0 at the half for Minnesota. And for everybody that talked about Seattle's offense at the end of the year, the game-saving play that shouldn't have happened. If Minnesota just stays with their responsibilities instead of all chasing the football like fucking rats going for cheese.
Yeah.
All eyes went off their responsibilities and everybody just ran to the fucking ball. Or
and
stopped.
Against a quarterback like Russell Wilson, I can't imagine the coaching staff said anything but maintain discipline. Do your job.
Well, and they would have if he would have hung on to the ball. And that's a problem. It reminded me of a kick return where the guy fumbles the fucking kickoff.
Yep.
And everybody sees ball and their head drops down and they just go looking at the ball. And the guy ends up running it back for a TD. This was the same fucking thing.
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
He misses the snap, or the snap's high, is rolling around behind him. Most of the times the quarterbacks just run back and fall on it. I give him credit for having the wherewithal to fucking pick it up and look and see that he can scramble out of the way.
Well, he's got the ball skills to do it. He's one of the few quarterbacks that turns that attempt to pick it up, that you get away with that not being a bigger disaster than it was.
But 8 out of 10 times, he fucking picks it up and gets hit and fumbles it again, or gets sacked back where he picks up the ball.
No, and I would coach him to just fall on it. I mean, that's what I would do with 99 out of 100 quarterbacks, is tell them, when it goes bad, stop it from being worse.
And it ends up being a 48-yard play down to the 4, I think. And he throws a touchdown to Baldwin to get him back in the game. It's now 9-7, I believe.
Yeah.
With that touchdown.
Yep.
Next series, Peterson fumbles. They kick a field goal. And
I do think the PI when Minnesota was coming back for the potential game-winning field goal was pretty goddamn bogus.
Yeah.
That's either way, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
but it's
call
always
that,
gonna go offense.
I call that should have been nothing. That shouldn't have been a flag at all.
But it's always going to, if it's even remotely close, they throw it.
I know. And it drives me nuts because the offensive players now know it and are coached to it. And they get away with it about 80% of the time. So why don't you try it?
Well, in that Washington game, I forgot to bring this up, but it happens throughout the playoffs. Plays that are holding in the regular season are let go. Fucking Green Bay got held on almost every snap in the second half. They could have sacked Cousins. The guys were just wrapping him up.
Oh, and I saw in the Houston game, too. I think I described it to you on the phone. I'm going, he had him in a half Nelson and was riding his back in the middle, and no flag.
Yeah.
I don't recall a holding call on the weekend.
Oh, I'm sure there was some.
Yeah, but
it's few and far between in the playoffs. It's like the players get perfect in the playoffs.
And this happens at every sport.
Yeah.
Right, fouls in basketball.
But there's blatant ones, though. Guys rushing right up the middle. Center's got his arm around his neck, trailing him, and there's no flag.
When Peyton was in Indy, I still recall one occasion where a Colts lineman was riding a defensive lineman like a horse. Like he was on his back. It was like a piggy. Like it was like when you were playing a game as a kid and you rode on the other one's back and then had chicken fights.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. No flag. So we got to factor that in, I guess. I mean, it's going to go to the offense.
Yes.
Now, but that kick is...
Well, I said to my wife, who watches no football, knows nothing about football, I said the last time Minnesota was in this situation, the kicker hadn't missed all year, and he fucking clanked it off the upright, and they ended up losing the game in overtime.
And you're not exaggerating. He had not missed all year.
No, he was perfect. And he clanked
I watched that game with a Vikings fan, and I said, wouldn't it be perverse if he has a chance to kick the winning field goal and misses? And that came true. Did not make me popular. Especially when I jumped up on the couch and said, I am the Swami.
Well, I put a video up on our website on today, Tuesday, of a Vikings fan that was on the other side of the uprights, like on the other side of the field from where it was wide, so it looked like it went in. And he's videotaping it. Yeah, we did it, brother. Woo! And then everybody around him, he missed it. He fucking missed it. He's like, what? Oh, yeah. Oh. It's fucking priceless. Because my tagline was, what's worse than missing a game-winning field goal in the playoffs? Thinking your team won.
Oh, yeah. That's the absolute worst.
So, yeah, it was fun. And if you haven't seen some of the videos of Vikings fans' reaction when he missed the kick, I put up a bunch on Monday. My favorite was an old guy with a cane. He fucking smashed his cane, snapped. He smashed his fucking cane. And he's wearing like a Minnesota Vikings Santa hat. Fucking throws that off his head. Fucking swearing and everything. It's
we're going to be there as we approach death, knowing our teams will never win a title.
Well,
it gets harder the older you get.
I know, and I told you about this before the podcast, but if you want to watch a great documentary, it's a 30 for 30 from ESPN. It's Four Falls in Buffalo. They're teams that went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost. It's fantastic. And one of the central storylines in it was Tim Russert, who has since passed, and was from Buffalo and a huge Bills fan, and never got to see them win a Super Bowl. So, yeah, it puts it into like, people think we're crazy. My wife thinks I'm crazy sometimes how impassioned I get with sports. But there's a very real chance I could be dead before any team I cheer for wins another title.
Another, at least in your case. So.
Well, yeah, the Titans have never won one. Only been to one.
Chargers, same deal. Cheating Niners.
And we're out. Like, we're fucking 3-4 years minimum out from being hopefully competing at that level.
Yeah.
And that's the thing in football. When you go down, most of the time it's a long fucking climb up.
And it's interesting. Now when we're in the really shit years of our teams, I'm fine with it. Right? I don't get that emotion. It's when it's all there. Those ones still hurt.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't think the Vikings were going to win, but winning that game still mattered. And, like, I heard an interview with Hornby, who wrote Fever Pitch about soccer, and he's talking, his kids are now fans of Arsenal. And he's going, they live and die on, like, every play. He's going, now that I'm in my mid-40s, late 40s, I see the longer view, so I can handle it. But, when the opportunity's there, it still hurts as much.
Yep. So, yeah, we're a long ways out.
Yep. All right. Now the feature game of our discussion.
So,
I knew, and thank God we took the 2.5, because when Burfict made the pick and ran into the tunnel, I just knew somehow this was going to go bad for Cincy. I didn't know
how. When Nance brought up, was he touched?
Oh, yeah, which I hadn't even considered at that stage. I just thought it was a buffoon move.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and then he's going, was he down by contact? Because that's a safety, running through the end zone with the ball. And I'm just like, and then they would have had to kick the ball to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
After a safety. So when they get the pick, I thought, okay, 3 timeouts, 1 first down, game's over. But I guess we should backtrack a little. Because everybody...
The game was fucking dirty. I want to say, I think it might have been the first possession. A Steeler goes to tackle Eifert, who's been concussed twice this year. And they say, Sims is like, that was a clean hit. He's going for the shoulder. He left his feet. He was 2 feet off the ground. He led to the crown to try to hit the head. That was fucking dirty, and the game was going to be that dirty.
No, but what the play that turned that game was the one I texted you about, because you'd quit watching.
I only quit watching for the third quarter because I was getting pissed off with Nance and Sims and their fucking cock worship of Roethlisberger.
The play to me that turned the game and made everybody on Cincinnati nuts is the one when Shazier fucking crown of the helmet to the jaw of Giovanni Bernard.
Yep. I've watched it several times. Like, you were demanding I watch it, and yeah.
I don't see how that's any different than a defenseless receiver. He catches a screen pass, turns around, hasn't taken a step yet, turns around, and Shazier puts his helmet on his jaw. And to make matters worse, Pittsburgh gets the ball back.
Oh, not to mention, you were going Pittsburgh's Angels. Shazier is dancing around exulting in knocking him out with the crown of his helmet. And that's not commented on. But when Roethlisberger goes off, somehow Cincy's in the wrong. Because
that was a clean hit.
Are goddamn angels. No, it wasn't. When you see the knee to the shoulder, that was fucking dirty, too.
That was a clean hit. What took him out was a clean hit. He didn't drive him into the ground. He just took him down, fell on top of him. Same way Romo got hurt.
Yeah, but that video of the knee to the shoulder was dirty.
So what? That's the Bernard hit precipitated that.
Yes, that's where they lost control. And why did they have the same officials from a game that very closely went out of control 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Like, who decided that? You guys almost fucked up. Let's give you another go at this.
Yeah.
You had Munchak grabbing a guy's hair and yanking him around, which we'll get to here in a bit. I mean, since he did it, okay. I texted
Marlon, I gotta
you.
pause. I gotta pause. I'm sorry, we're in the good rhythm, but I gotta go to the can, dude.
Well, that was a first for our podcast.
Yeah.
Do you have bad Indian food? What the fuck?
It reminds me of American Pie. Just call me shit break. Couldn't be helped. I thought I could get through the recap and we could pause. But it wasn't meant to be.
All right.
So you were talking about we were just Munchak pulling the hair.
Munchak pulling the hair. Like, both sides were dirty, though I honestly think Cincinnati's breakdown was in response. The Steelers came out headhunting. That's why I brought up that attempted hit on Eifert.
Yes. They were talking about perfect, oh, he's going to do something crazy, or we knew he was going to lose it, or whatever. He didn't lose it till after fucking Bernard got hit.
Yeah, and that play, when I've watched it, I can't believe, based on what I've seen in the last 2 years in the NFL, that they called that a fumble.
Well, not even the fumble.
I've seen guys take
to that.
2 steps forward, and they just say, receiver never had possession. And leading with the crown, like, there's some obscure language in the rules that say you have to line him up.
It should have been a 15-yard penalty.
Yep.
Regardless of the fumble. Penalty, they wouldn't have even had to review it. Penalty wipes out any completion, fumble, half the distance to the goal, since he gets 3 or 7 there. Because it was still, wasn't it like 15-0 at the time?
Yeah, it was 15-0 based on a bizarre Mike Tomlin 2-point call, which I've heard a lot of assholes defending. Why the hell do you go for 15, go for 2 when you're up 15?
Because then they only need 1 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Not 2. Sims defending it was bizarro world. Sims defending the Shazier hit on Bernard, unfathomable. And it came out, I mentioned this to you right when it happened, or right after the game, I believe, that what was Joey Porter doing on the field, and why wasn't he flagged?
That's the later shit. As soon as he came out in the field, because I didn't know who that was, I thought, I'm kind of fine with a position coach or even the offensive coordinator coming out.
There's nobody allowed on the field. Nobody. Outside of the head coach, maybe they'll let that go, but he's not going to be yipping. Joe, this came up in the Sal and Simmons podcast that I don't even remember hearing.
And I read about it on Football Outsiders today, too. I know what you're talking about. Continue.
Joey Porter and 3 of his buddies back in the day jumped Levi Jones, who was a linebacker for the Bengals, in a casino in Vegas and beat the shit out of them. This shit goes way back, and Porter's on the field. If any of you remember Hard Knocks, when the Ravens, the first year it was on, he had a get-back coach to tell guys to get back off the side. There's a rule, you can't be too close to the sideline, let alone be out on the fucking field. So Porter on there yapping at Burfict and Jones, but that's no flag.
That should be the automatic flag.
Is there not a taunting flag? I thought there was taunting flags in the NFL. As soon as that ref turned around and see who Jones went after, it should have been offsetting.
Now, weirdly enough, why wasn't Burfict flagged for taunting when he ran into the goddamn tunnel?
Yeah,
the refs celebration. Lost total goddamn control of this game. And they barely kept the last one. So, well done, NFL. You've just created a fiasco.
Well, and you want to know what perfect little angels the Steelers are? Joey Porter got a fucking game ball.
I did not know that.
Tomlin came out and denied it. I don't fucking believe it. You know how they usually show the winning team in the locker room after? Seen that footage yet?
No, and the NFL has been wildly silent about the absolute breakdown of all order in this game.
Well, Burfict got 3 games next year.
Oh, yeah, well.
Shazier won't get fuck all.
No, because...
Have you heard any of that? Any talk of that? During the regular season, that would have been up for review. Any talk of him targeting the head and leading with the head? Nothing. Burfict's an asshole. That's all the talk's been.
And I'll grant them that, but...
Leaving the Steelers out of it is fucking near criminal from the media.
That's exactly it. And Nance went into some kind of moral high ground, and as you said, when Roethlisberger came back, he had a Roethlisgasm, or whatever you called it. I can't quote your text perfectly.
That was it.
The notion that Cincy are the villains here is what pisses me off. This was a game that got wildly out of control. And
both sides
as I texted to you, mostly Cincy did it to themselves. The hit by Burfict was unquestionably a goddamn flag.
Yes, I'm not arguing any of that shit, but why isn't Pittsburgh flagged on the same shit?
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about, should Marvin Lewis be fired for losing control of his team? Mike Munchak and Joey Porter are on the fucking field getting involved with players. That's coaches getting involved with players.
And it's not like there isn't a precedent here. Tomlin himself was watching the replay screen and blocked out a Jacoby Jones touchdown a couple of years back.
And the Steelers won that game too.
Yep.
So...
That's what pisses me off. Like,
me too.
And what amazes me is that we're getting this pissed off about a game we won on the points.
Yes. But I agree with you that it pisses me off that they're only talking about Cincinnati. If you want to talk about a coach losing control of his sidelines, what the fuck are his coaches doing getting involved with players?
Yep.
And Reggie Nelson was going, when Munchak grabbed his hair, he was yapping at Tomlin. So what the fuck is Tomlin saying? I don't get it. I don't know how the fuck they get away with it.
Well, because Rooney's one of the allies of Goodell might be a factor.
Yeah, but the press.
Oh, Steelers are big ratings. Bengals are terrible losers run by black people.
Well, there was one stat from the weekend that I found absolutely amazing. In the AFC, flashed across both games on Saturday when Kansas City was destroying Houston. Last playoff win against the Houston Oilers. Cincinnati game. Last playoff win 20 years ago against the Houston Oilers.
Fair enough.
At least Tennessee's won playoff games since then.
I also texted you, by the way, that one thing we didn't factor in was crooked Pittsburgh bullshit.
Yeah.
And have you noticed that when Pittsburgh was slow and old, that field was a fucking pigsty? I know this wasn't where it was played, but, you know, I saw a punt bury nose down and stick in a San Diego game. Pittsburgh's fast now. Have you noticed the problem with their field?
None.
They're a bunch of fucking cheating cocksuckers, and I hate them. I will always fucking hate them.
I have a deep-seated childhood hatred of Pittsburgh. If they would have won the game 15-0, who cares? It's just the Steelers winning again in the playoffs. The way they won this fucking game. And I will say this about Cincinnati, though. That 2-point conversion play.
Holy crap. And Hugh Jackson is being interviewed for jobs?
That thing had about as much chance of working as me winning the Powerball tomorrow. Which is none, because I live in Canada. So, it just blew my mind, that fucking play.
Lost in all this, terrible Jeremy Hill fumble. He was benched against the Chargers for fumbles, didn't appear again for about 6 weeks in any meaningful sense. That's terrible coaching, position coaching.
Yeah, but he had no option. Bernard's fucking in the locker room with his head in an
I'm not saying
ice
don't
bag.
give it to him, but coach him up to say, take your 3, take your 4. Now is not the time to fight for yardage. And we talk about this regularly, too.
Hell of a play, but I'll give Shazier credit. That was a hell of a play to get the ball out.
Yeah.
And it's not like Hill had it out from his body or anything. It was a good play by Shazier, but he should have been out of the game after that fucking... They need to go, and we've said this repeatedly for years, implement some of the college rules. If you really want to take targeting the head out of the game, make it meaningful. Shazier in college would have been thrown out of the game for targeting the head. And it's a reviewable offense in college.
You're right.
Just do that. And that settles the game down. Who's fucking taking themselves out of a playoff game?
And this came up more in the Houston KC game when we were talking on the phone. But for God's sake, blow a whistle at forward progress. You've got 220-pound missiles coming in there as long as the whistle isn't blown. What happened to forward progress?
It boggles the mind that, Marlon, the only place on the field they don't protect are running backs.
Yeah.
They're fair game of any hit. I've seen more running backs get fucking nailed with the lowering the helmet penalty than I've seen defensive players get penalized for targeting the head. Why is it when you're a running back, I can blindside you with a shot to the helmet, but any other position, you makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know the fix for that because the way a running back runs is hard to determine targeting, but sometimes you know it when you see it. See, it's the old argument on pornography. I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it.
And Bernard in that play was a receiver. He's not a running back.
No,
He's a fucking receiver. It's called a screen pass, not a screen run. He's a pass receiver.
Well, And
Just
I go
because he's
back
not-
to it. Pittsburgh was headhunting because in that early effort, he went up and he made contact with the helmet on the chin, and he was 2 feet in the air when he did it. And Sims is going, well, he's coming at the body. No, he launched himself in an intentional helmet-to-helmet contact. That's who Pittsburgh is. Fuck them. But
So now, okay, on that hit on Bernard, if he's 12 yards down the field, is it a different call?
absolutely.
So what the... fuck.
All right.
I can't even imagine. If I was a Bengals fan, I'd have fucking lost my mind on that game.
I would have too, which is why I don't go to live sporting events that I care about.
Well, and I said this to my wife. I said, these two, after he missed the field goal on Sunday in Minnesota, Seattle, I said, the games this weekend are the games my teams usually fucking play in and lose like that. I've known that kind of fucking despair after a loss.
Me too. I mean, as you brought up, the Chargers have lost 18 games in the final play of the game. I know the crushing, and, you know, the New England loss was the worst, but I know the despair.
And mine's a still Super Bowl, a 2000 Super Bowl yard short.
Yep.
But,
all right.
Okay.
We're almost an hour already. We got to pick some games here. All right. First game up on Saturday. KC +5 at New England.
Oh,
I know I originally said if we got 6.5, I'm going KC. It's New England for me all the way.
Well, here's an interesting tidbit I read on my ill-conceived break. Kansas City last 4 against New England, 3-1 against the spread.
Yeah, you know what I think of trend betting.
Just throwing it out.
Yeah, Edelman's back. KC, I mean, Houston with Hoyer moved the ball, and KC took
One
the
drive.
turnovers.
Drive.
No, 3 drives.
One drive.
Brutal pick, moved in tight. I mean,
They were only a threat to score in the red zone once. That's not moving the ball. New England's O-line is terrible.
they're getting back Vollmer, but if you also watch that game, KC wasn't getting to Hoyer fast. Brady's getting the ball out in under 2 seconds. When he has a full receiving contingent, they were putting up 34 per game with Edelman in the game. KC struggled against San Diego. They put up 10. KC couldn't, almost, like their offense did nothing to beat Oakland. It was Oakland turnovers. You can't rely on the defense in this game. It's New England at home.
I know, but I recall Baltimore teams going in there with a similar defense and not much offense and winning the game.
Or having the chance to win.
Outside of that Indy game last year, New England at home in the playoffs the last 4 or 5 years hasn't been dominant. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it's only 5. I don't think this is enough points. I like New England in this game. Casey's whole chance is pressure. They've got no one who can seem to cover a slot receiver or a tight end.
Either does New England.
Yeah,
They have nobody that can cover Kelsey.
Like I'm on New England here. I understand where you're throwing it out there, but I've been the naysayer of KC for the longest time, and I've been cashing a lot of covers on them.
Well, they were 8-3 in their last 11. You didn't cash a lot. Against the spread, they were 8-3 in their last 11. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I cashed. Like, they couldn't cover against Cleveland. They couldn't cover against San Diego.
Well, yeah, but
they covered because of 3 consecutive turnovers by Oakland, which one thing New England will not do is turn this ball over.
Okay.
Are we begging to differ on this one?
No, I'll go with New England, but I'm skeptical. They've struggled this year, too, against not-so-good teams. It's not just Kansas City. I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah. Like, we don't have to bet it, but I'm just saying I'm all over New England here.
No,
I have gone back and forth a bit, but
we don't know how bad.
Down to me that Brady will get the ball out in 2 seconds,
but
he will not make Hoyer throws that you cannot even figure out who his target is.
No, I know. I'm not saying he's going to make throws like Hoyer. But they struggled against the Jets twice.
Yeah.
Giants. Lost to Miami.
Not the Lions.
We still... Giants, I said.
Oh, Giants. Okay.
We don't know how healthy Brady's ankle is. We don't know how healthy Edelman is. That leaves him with Gronk.
Edelman's been practicing for 4 weeks. I think he's just fine.
We'll see. We'll end up taking New England, but I'm skeptical.
And you know, at 6.5 when we talked on Sunday, I was thinking we were going to go KC. And another factor there is without Macklin, it's
play.
Travis Kelce. Yeah, but he won't play. It's a high ankle sprain. I watched Antonio Gates try to play through a high ankle sprain. I've seen Johnson try to play through a high ankle sprain. You just can't do it. It's a brutal injury.
Something just doesn't seem right in this game. And I know the public's on Kansas City because it started higher than this.
Yeah. I think we fade the public here and maybe go New England. And everything's in the mix, so I'm not even going to announce that. When there's only 4 games, they're all in the mix. It's just what we decide. I really think New England at home here, Brady with some weapons. I almost feel, and I wouldn't say this about any other coach, I almost feel they were playing possum in the last 2 weeks.
No way. Give up home field? No way. They don't want to go back to Denver. I don't
think
care.
They thought
what
they could beat
say.
Miami vanilla.
Whatever the case, they got fucking dominated in Miami. Brady got fucking hit. Vanilla or not, this KC defense is no joke.
No, it's not. What they cannot do well is cover slots. And...
Well, they put a pretty good blanket on fucking Hopkins.
He's not a slot receiver.
I know. If you can cover, you can cover.
No, I disagree with that.
They make two...
I mean, go back to New England. They use the slot receiver better than anyone. It goes back to Wes Welker. It goes back to whatever. And they're content to take 6 yards, get the ball out in 2 seconds.
I agree. But we still... Practicing isn't getting hit in a game. Edelman hasn't got hit in fucking 10 weeks.
Yeah, but he got concussed the fuck out in the Super Bowl and still managed to catch the winning touchdown. He's a tough little motherfucker.
Not discounting the fact. I'm not discounting that. But Kansas City's defense is no joke.
No. So you think 5's just a little high? You're thinking
I think
3
it's a little
like
much.
It more? Okay.
Yeah, 3's New England's no problem. When have you ever had a team on an 11-win streak and a team that lost 2 in a row be this big of favorites. And I know it's Brady and Belichick and Andy Reid and all that bullshit.
I don't care about the Reid. I don't care about Alex Smith. I mean, Alex Smith is probably our best paying quarterback that we've ever bet on in the playoffs. I went back and forth, and I'm still on New England here at home.
I just don't think Kansas City will beat themselves. The defense is good.
Think about it this way. If you give New England 3 for home field, do you really think Casey is only 2 points under New England?
With that defense, yeah. I do.
Okay.
For the reasons Jets, Giants... The Giants don't have a great defense.
I was going through the scores, and you're a little bit right. Teams with a good pass rush have limited New England, but they've still won by 7, 6, 7, and 6. You know, the exception of the Giants, which is some sort of weird Belichick brain tick. All right, it's in the mix.
Oh, you weren't going to say that.
Yeah, well, they're all in the mix. Next game up, Green Bay +7 at Arizona. We're getting an even price here.
Cardinals.
I have to agree with you. I felt like I would make an argument for entertainment.
No, but here's the thing I was thinking about earlier. Green Bay is not a great running team. They have no speed or anybody to beat you deep. They're not going to be like Washington and get beat with the run. You can stuff the box and cover them man to man. There's no tight end to scare you. I know Tyrone Matthews out at safety for Arizona. But they beat the fuck out of Green Bay 3 weeks ago. It's not... I don't think Green Bay's improved that much offensively. Washington game notwithstanding, to keep this game close.
Yeah, the 7's a little much here.
No, it's not.
No, I'm still fine with that. Because I didn't believe in Green Bay, and one game against Washington, I think I kind of learned after thinking, oh, they were back after beating Minnesota, who has a great defense. Minnesota
Washington
thrashed them the second time.
Yeah, and Washington
doesn't impress me.
No, and Washington doesn't have a great pass defense by any stretch. And I don't recall a Green Bay receiver making a big play in that game.
Devontae Adams made a terrific catch, but
yeah, but one.
Yeah, I know.
Like it wasn't like they were a story.
You can count on Devontae Adams? No, I'm with you. I hate laying 7, but I'm totally with you here. I don't think this time everyone in Arizona sold all their tickets on StubHub the same way that the Green Bay fans came in the last time. No, I like this game a lot. I think we're going to bet this one.
Yes.
I really don't believe that Green Bay's running game is back.
No.
You can do that against the 29th ranked run defense. I don't think you can do that against Arizona. The blitz packages are going to be a lot more creative. Credit to the little Gruden, who we had no respect for. He did a damn good job to get Washington where they were.
Yeah. But
they're not the same thing as Arizona at all.
No. Carson Palmer had an MVP-type year for that team. And it just so happens the guy that's going to win the MVP finished one win better than him and plays in the same division. Or no, not in the same conference, sorry.
Yeah.
But Newton's going to win the MVP.
Deservedly.
If Carolina's 12-4, Carson Palmer's winning the MVP. Green Bay's defense isn't good. Don't look at that Washington
their
game.
pass rush is excellent. That's about it.
Against what teams, though? I don't know if it's against good teams. That defense didn't... When did that defense win them a game? They got to keep this close. And I don't think they can. There's too much speed on Arizona.
7's a lot to lay in the playoffs, but
not for Arizona at home.
Not
for Arizona at home.
All right. Next game up, we have Seattle +3 at Carolina. Hey, it's not going to be ice cold. Do you know that moment when you break an offense or you break a system? I think the Rams did that to Seattle in Week 15. What you do is you extend your pass rushers up about 2 yards before they make their break inside, and you cut off the back end on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I honestly think Jeff Fisher and is it Greg Williams still there?
Yeah.
I think they broke Seattle's offense to a certain extent.
And Carolina's defense is every bit as good as Minnesota's.
Yes.
And
not quite the same. They got to send more people to do the same thing. Like, they don't have the same...
But they have better linebackers than Minnesota.
Better linebackers,
better corners.
Not as good a defensive line.
No, but better
it's
corners.
The philosophy. I think they broke Seattle.
They have better corners. Last 4 games have been within a touchdown. And that was when Carolina wasn't that good. The 3 previous to this year.
Yeah.
Carolina covered in Seattle last year, I believe. Did they not? Late?
And early. Like, we made a lot of money on Carolina last year. By following them. Carolina is just generally a solid football team. Can they score a bunch against Seattle? I don't think so.
Well, they put up 27 against them in
but
Seattle.
That game was bad until the fourth quarter. Don't forget that.
But Olsen.
Seattle's had trouble with tight ends all year.
I don't think the receiving core in Seattle scares Carolina at all. Who on there scares you with the corners they have?
No, not much, and I haven't seen a Seattle tight end recently.
And I don't think, even if Lynch is I think Lynch is healthy enough to play, and they're just not playing him.
No, I think he chooses not to play. He wants to sign one more deal with another team. He's provoking an I'll cut you sort of situation, and then wants to sign another 3-year deal with Suckers, which I suspect will be Cleveland. No, I really like this.
Yeah.
Why does everyone suddenly think that Seattle's great because they put up 1 billion points on chumps?
And they shouldn't have won that game last Sunday.
And I don't think Arizona gave a rat's ass about that game. My only question about that game was why they left their starters in.
Yeah, that I don't know. But Carolina was way out in front, and Arizona just fucking packed it in.
Seattle was way out in front.
No. Because they had to catch Carolina for best record in the NFC.
Yeah. Now I see what you mean.
And they packed it in.
Yeah. No, I like this a lot. I'm going to take Carolina at home.
Yeah.
And everything Russell Wilson can do, Cam Newton does smoother.
Yeah, and he's bigger.
He can take the hits,
stronger.
but once they started to... And I still say that Rams game broke Seattle. Once they started to take their edge rushers past the line, like past where they usually make their move, extend them up another 2 yards up the field, and come at him from the sides and behind, he tries to do his little dipsy doodle thing, and suddenly there's nowhere to go backwards.
Yeah, he spins backwards.
Yeah, he turns around. He actually gets his back to the line of scrimmage and goes to take off. And when suddenly he has nowhere to go, he has nowhere to go.
Well, the receivers aren't getting open.
No, and they only get open if he scrambles for 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And if you can seal him off, make him be that pocket passer, he's not particularly great.
And the only play that he got out of that in Minnesota was the fumbled snap.
Yeah, and we can't be the only people who have seen this. It's like, don't make your move. Don't decide, swim, bowl, underneath, whatever you have. Don't make that 2 yards off the line of scrimmage. Make it 4. It seems to me that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
So I think we're taking that and we're getting a good price on it right now.
Yes.
And the final game of Sunday. Pittsburgh plus 6.5 at Denver. Denver, everything going on with Pittsburgh and how much we hate them. Denver, with Peyton Manning, should not be favored by 6.5 over anybody.
Well, I think it has to do with Roethlisberger.
He's not that badly hurt.
Yeah, he is.
No, they're hyping the bullshit out of that.
Dislocated his shoulder. And he has torn ligaments in his shoulder.
Doesn't matter.
With the pass rush, Marlon, he threw one pass further than 6 yards on that final drive, and that was the one he overshot Antonio Brown. When have you seen him miss Antonio Brown that poorly this year? That where Brown got fucking concussed. It's D'Angelo Williams probably isn't going to play again. Brown coming off concussion. Roethlisberger with a bad shoulder.
Denver beat exactly one team under Peyton Manning by more than 6.5 points.
Oh, I'm not saying we bet this game.
Yeah, this might be our stay away, but
I think Denver covers
I'm all
this
over
just
Pittsburgh
on
on
their
this.
defense. No. Roethlisberger gets sacked once. I think he's done. If he gets hit like Perfect hit him, he's done. He's not Superman. I don't think he could follow through on his throw. Which, when he tried to throw that one to Brown, that's why it sailed. He couldn't come over the top with it. They'll have no running game with Williams out.
Denver couldn't beat.
Okay, let's not forget.
They couldn't beat Oakland by more than 6.5. They couldn't beat Cleveland by more than 6.5. They couldn't beat Minnesota by 6.5. They couldn't beat Baltimore by more than 6.5. 6.5 is just too goddamn much.
For all of Pittsburgh, we're talking about them. They struggled against Cleveland to cover until the fourth quarter. Lost to Baltimore with Roethlisberger playing. That defense in Denver is a little better. Mile High Stadium. We saw what happened to Cincinnati when they gassed out. Pittsburgh's coming off the most physical playoff game I've seen since Baltimore-Pittsburgh.
Okay, that's an excellent point, and that was something I thought about a lot today, was the two teams, Pittsburgh and Seattle, were just in wars.
You're going Seattle East Coast to West, Pittsburgh, or West Coast to East. You're going Pittsburgh to Mile High with the quarterback with a bad throwing shoulder, Tomlin making goofy decisions. I'm not I was thinking Pittsburgh all along, too, just with Peyton Manning and his struggles in the playoffs in the opening round. He's horrible. But I can't get out of my head that if Brock Osweiler doesn't fucking completely collapse in the second half, they put up 28 on Pittsburgh or 27 on Pittsburgh in a half. That defense in Pittsburgh isn't that great. They're not playing A.J. McCarron.
And if it was Brock Osweiler, I might be with you. Peyton's done, man.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But when you have a quarterback who should be in a sling going and starting for you...
Which quarterback do you mean? Because that could apply to either.
No, but Manning had a foot injury.
No, but neither one of these can push the ball past 12 yards. You're saying the defense is better. I'm saying that's fine, but 6.5 is way too much. Landry Jones is going to be in this game. Yeah.
And that's when it's going to get out of hand.
All right.
That Steeler offense can't move without Roethlisberger.
Well, and this actually...
and who's he throwing to?
I was pissed off when I listened to Bill and Sal today because they hit a lot of the points I wanted to. How good is that Pittsburgh O-line at run blocking? They were going up against the best one of the best run defense lines in the league. And they made Toussaint and Todman awesome. Like, we thought it was D'Angelo Williams.
I don't think
that
it's
was
so
fine.
much.
I'm thinking that they can run block. That's one thing they can do. And if you just keep ramming it at Denver,
but I don't believe that. I don't believe it's that simple. I think the run game has more to do with Antonio Brown than the offensive line.
Maybe, and he'll be back. Don't forget, this is Pittsburgh, who the first team
he's playing. But how good is he going to be?
How is he playing? Let's not forget, by the way, just to continue our Pittsburgh hate from earlier podcasts, this is the team that, even after concussions were defined, would state concussion-like symptoms and then put guys back in the game.
Oh, Brown's playing. I don't have any argument that he's going to play, but how effective are him and Roethlisberger going to be? If Antonio Brown doesn't have 150 yards receiving and at least one touchdown, they're not in this game.
6.5 is way too much. So we're not betting this one because we're definitely on opposite sides.
I'm taking Denver.
I got Pittsburgh.
Because Andre Ware or who's the other dude? Why can I never remember his name? I keep thinking Doomerville, but he's in Pittsburgh in Baltimore. Who's the outside line? Who's the other? Von Miller. If one of them hits Roethlisberger and puts him on his shoulder again, it's done. Roethlisberger's not going to finish this game.
I honestly don't know that it matters who the quarterback is. Denver will not score.
Well, if Roethlisberger goes out early,
is weak.
If Roethlisberger goes out early, the defense will score 2 touchdowns. They might even with Roethlisberger in with a bad arm. No, Denver all the way.
All right.
I hate both teams. Trust me.
Oh.
I
don't even hate Denver as much as I hate Pittsburgh, but
no. Well, I hate Peyton Manning. If I could take anybody other than him, his record sucks in opening round playoff games, and I'm still taking him based on all the shit Pittsburgh went through last week. And Tomlin's a horrible coach.
He's not good. And the physicality, that's your best argument, I think, there. But, all right, so I'm going to hold fast on New England, buddy. We got to make some bets here.
Yeah, no, we're taking New England.
Okay.
Shit, hit the wrong button. Okay, so we have New England. -5 at home against the Chiefs. $10 bet pays $19.09. We have Carolina -3. Oh, we don't have an underdog pick.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, I was right. Well, yeah, I can't bet on Pittsburgh. I'm too strong against it. We have the Panthers -3 at +100. $10 pays 20. And we have the Arizona Cardinals -7 hosting the Packers. $10 pays 19.09. Booked.
All right, to recap, we have New England -5 at home. 10 pays 19.09. We have Arizona at home. $10 pays 19.09. We are laying 7 points on that. And we have Carolina at home, laying 3 points. $10 pays 20. We differ on Denver-Pittsburgh. I am taking Pittsburgh.
Kind of KC, New England, too.
A little bit.
I want half a point if Kansas City covers.
Oh, yeah, because, I'm at 3-1 and you're at 2-2? Is that correct?
Yeah, but I want half a point if KC covers.
Fuck the half point.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, if you want to check out our podcast, you can listen to it on iTunes or Stitcher for your Android device, on our website, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter at Offensive Lines for any updates to our blog posts or when a new podcast is available. Our personal Twitter accounts at OLinesMarlon or at OLinesBoyd, Facebook.com/OffensiveLines. And if you want to send us an email, it's offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon. And we missed motherfucking game time.
What? Oh, you can cut it in over my shit break. And, all right. Good luck with your bets this week.
Generous fucking gambler.